Empire of the Ants review. I really like the atmosphere. Very, very well made atmosphere. The heart and soul of being an ant is here, and especially with the Pikmin style gameplay that really leans into the photorealistic visuals and aesthetics. Really, really works for the game. I wasn't too hot on the single player, even though the world building and the dialogue and the story is kind of cool because that's what I was gonna say. The main goal is to find the land that has no winter.
Oh wow. Yeah, who doesn't want that?
Yeah, so like it's a very interesting and compelling story that gets you in that once you're into the mindset of like being an ant, you really get into it. But the problem is these platforming levels, I gotta just straight up say it, Drix, they kind of suck. Mainly because you'll see it in the B-roll right now if you're watching. The controls when you're moving in areas like this that force your character upside down or across strange geometry on the ground, or there's divots in the ground, so sometimes you can get stuck on it. And there is a sprint button because, like, as an ant, we've all seen ants when they freak out on the ground and start running like crazy. You can do that in this game. And like just go super duper fast, and you do sprint very fast. You see me doing it on screen right now, but I have to say, Drix, that is pretty dangerous because I don't know if it's an intentional design choice, but you bounce off of uneven terrain when you're dashing.
Oh wow, catch some ant air, huh?
You do catch ant air, but the problem with it is it's an inconsistent mechanic, because there are times when you'll run across a twig and catch ant air and you're flying through the air, and there are other times you'll run across a twig and then all of a sudden your ant has maybe just a little bit of wiggle room and he'll just start running around the twig, the circumference of the twig.
Oh wow,
because he doesn't lose traction on any surface.
Yeah, you feel it should zig and then it zags.
Yeah.
What?
and I will say, at least for me, the saving grace of the game is the PvP. Funny enough, I didn't think a game like this would have a very compelling PvP, and it's for an RTS, for a real-time strategy game. It is rather basic. As I said, I played this game on the PS5. It is. So you do need to you do need to keep in mind that it was designed with a controller play in mind. You also need to keep in mind that this game is cross-play, so you can play against people on the PC.
Wow. Yeah, bit of a play difference there then, if you're taking it to PvP land.
Yeah. So that's one of the main things about this game, because the tech tree isn't super deep. There's only a couple of different there's only one, like, I guess building upgrade that you need to upgrade consistently, but they break it up by giving you a lot of different nests on the map to conquer and a lot of different secondary objectives. Your main 3 ants that you can manage are workers, soldiers, and gunners. And gunners they're like the most fantastical of the ants because they shoot like little acid out of their abdomens. So like,
taking some liberties there.
Yeah, we're taking
science and nature.
Taking a little bit of liberties in this photorealistic game. But
yeah. You gotta have range combat.
Yeah,
right?
you have to. There were certain things. Another thing that takes a little bit of a liberty is you have what are called super weapons.
Yeah.
You can kind of see it on the screen right here. There's another part of the B-roll where you'll see them a little bit more up close. But one of the super weapons is door beetles. And
door beetles.
Yeah, they just run across the battlefield and they're really tanky and really tough, and they deal a ton of damage. And they're just one of like 3, because you could have door beetles. There's another kind of beetle that's completely immune to range damage, but he doesn't do as much offensive. He doesn't have as much offensive capability. And you could also employ hornets as your super weapon.
Sweet.
So
yeah, I'm sure the real strategy comes into play.
And it gets pretty strategic because there are so many points of interest on any given multiplayer map. So even though you're playing on the same map and going into the same going for like the same foraging spots, right? Because there are different areas. Part of the secondary objectives are like there's a spider guarding a pine cone, and you can have your guys, you can have your workers work on the pine cone and retrieve lumber.
Sweet.
But you need to beat up the spider and make the spider retreat first. So like so like there's and if you can get these small incremental secondary objectives and leverage them into a win, it really feels good. The intensity and the intensity brings out the competitive, like brought out my competitive nature, and I got hooked because there's 2 modes. There's a 1-on-1 and there's a 3-man free-for-all. Now, I've mostly played 1-on-1, but I've played 1 game of 3-man free-for-all, and it was probably the most intense game of PvP in Empire of the Ants that I've ever played.
Wow. That's nuts. Yeah, triple threat match.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting when so many moving spots are around, or so many moving pieces are moving around, because you really can multitask. You really can develop a deep maneuvering strategy of sending different squads to different parts on the map to take different parts of your opponent's structure down. And one of the main things about taking your opponent down, Drix, is the animations in this game. They are so cool.
Yeah, no, the insect warfare is something to behold, is it?
Drix, you will have moments where you are watching where you get a glimpse of the battle, and you'll see one of your soldier ants literally lift an ant up, shake it by its head until it stops moving, and then toss the body.
Yes. Damn, nature, you scary.
And then the body's ragdoll. Like
swarms.
They coil up like an ant does when it dies, and then they roll ragdoll style. Like, it's insane on the terrain. Drix, it's insane. The amount of attention to detail in this game is absolutely insane. And you get lost. If you get into the game, you get lost in the strategy, the maneuverability, and the immersion is never really broken because the aesthetic is just so the aesthetic is just so solid. Like,
yeah,
you're never thinking that like you're doing something way too video gamey because the graphics are so great. And this is another part of it, is like you have these I think what you're seeing on the B-roll right now is the standout parts of the a single player are these little, like, these are in-engine cutscenes, but they look so good.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I like that, the cinematic feel of that, like, victory screen that just passed, and intimate moments in the smallest of places.
Yeah, and
really detailed.
Yeah, it feels very good. The game looks incredible. Like I said, I played it on the PS5. Even on the PS5, it runs great. I haven't had any slowdowns. And the detail on everything is fantastic. Now, I think that I do believe that the game has a tiny bit of an identity crisis in that it really does want you to do the platforming and the strategy. And while I think that the Pikmin style can work, the Pikmin style didn't involve so much of heavy platforming.
Yeah, no, it's a new ingredient in the mix.
So your mileage may vary. I didn't mind it too much, but there were definitely times that the platforming really highlighted the janky nature of the game, getting caught on the terrain, falling off of certain terrain that you're supposed to be able to climb up everything, but there are times when like maybe you'll sprint wrong and then you'll flip over and fall off whatever you're on, and then you fall into the water.
The transversal is not like Spider-Man.
No, not at all.
Like an ant.
Not at all. It makes a great first impression because a lot of the first levels really let you explore the movement system, but when the rubber hits the road and like you need to be making the split-second decisions, or you really need to get there because you need to deploy some pheromones, sometimes that platforming it don't do it, Chief. It gets a little janky.
Just the physics of it all.
Yeah, and getting caught on terrain doesn't help too much. There are times when your ant moves so fast and you're covering so much ground, but you're looking dead ahead of you, and you'll keep going, and then you realize you hit like a mini treadmill because like a leaf is like placed strangely on the terrain, and your ant is just circling it over and over and over again. Like,
yes, some missing instructions there.
A little bit. But overall, I don't think this game is garnered. I don't think this game deserves the horrible reputation it's garnered from mainstream games media. I definitely don't think this is a 3 out of 10. But Drix,
no.
I have to tell you, I do believe this is a 3 out of 5.
All right. Well, a net gain from other review sources.
Absolutely. And you know what? Again, I think this game is pretty good. I think it's worth getting. It's not full price. I believe it's only $35. It's got full PvP. You can get into it. Your mileage may vary because you're going to have to do some platforming. The platforming is janky, and the terrain is not the best. But as far as the strategy goes, it is solid. Even the map design isn't too bad when it comes to PvP. But I will say the single player, even though it does have a really, really good atmosphere and the world building is pretty on point, I do believe that at the end of the day, it sort of falls flat and I don't see myself coming back to this game to finish the main campaign.
Might just stick to PvP, huh?
I definitely will play more PvP. I absolutely will play some more Empire of the Ants PvP.
Nice. Well, 3 out of 5, Empire of the Ants. You heard it here on CFM Radio.
If you want to try a different style of strategy game, or you really want to, you would like to see a take on the Pikmin style strategy game, but have it lean into the PvP element, because that's one of the main things about Pikmin 3 or Pikmin 4 really lost me on Drix, was that they didn't have any online multiplayer. So, you know, it was one of those things where that great game, but no online multiplayer for Pikmin 4, really disappointing. I will say this online multiplayer when it gets laggy, it gets really laggy, but I didn't experience that a ton, and I got into the multiplayer. So as far as a complete package, I believe that Empire of the Ants is a 3 out of 5. You might not be very sucked in by the story, and the gameplay in the story mode isn't the greatest, but you might just get hooked by that PvP because it gets pretty intense. And when the intensity grows and you come out on top, it feels great.
Wow. Yeah, looks like fun if you've ever had an ant farm growing up, or even used to play in a yard outside.
It is very, very cool to visualize all of the intricacies and make it seem real, like a real military operation. So Empire of the Ants, 3 out of 5. I think it's a good game. It won't resonate with everybody, but if you're looking for a strategy game that's a little bit different, check it out.